new new people as well as some old friends. So welcome all. I'm June Chaos. I'm here in Los Angeles. I'm a disability policy consultant and contractor with CFILC's California Disaster Coalition, and your host for these emergency policy and practice discussions. So Carla, over to you first for a brief accessibility briefing.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Carla, and I am a program coordinator here at CFILC. I will be moderating today's meeting. First off, just some housekeeping. If you would like to access captions, go to the meeting controls on the bottom of your screen and select the CC icon titled Live Transcript. And you can click on the option Show Subtitles to gain access to that captioning. You can also use the stream text link I will drop in the chat. This is a great option because you can change the font size, color, and then make the captioning full screen. Just so everyone is aware, we will be answering questions throughout the presentation, and we'll try our best to address everyone's questions with the time that we have. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Now I'll hand it back to June.
Okay, thanks, Carla. So just to give you a little preview of what's going on next month, although it's feeling kind of cold here in LA, we're back to thinking about heat waves for next month and other forms of extreme weather that are really increasing in size and intensity, and as are the number of deaths related to heat waves. I think I read from a researcher in Duke University that in Arizona alone, there were 520 people who died from extreme heat during the summer of 2020. So we're going to start next month a half hour early and give you an opportunity to really watch on your own or through my sharing the screen with a great documentary of a 1995 Chicago heat wave that's called Cooked: Survival by Zip Code. It won many awards, and it really delineates some of the real planning issues that we often don't spend a lot of time on, particularly related to people who are poor, people who are elderly, and people who are multiply marginalized. So we'll peel away at heat waves next month, and I'm going to post in chat a number of ways that you can watch the documentary ahead of time, or if you tune in at 10 o'clock, you can watch it through a shared screen. And then in January and February of next year, we'll be diving into a deep discussion about recovery. And that is an area that we often don't spend a lot of time on, either in discussion or training, and yet it's the most complex and lengthy process of the disaster cycle, taking sometimes many years or decades to get through. So it absolutely is the longest part of the cycle, and it gets the least amount of attention. So we've got a number of panel members with years of experience to join us for that January and February part 1 and part 2 discussion. So let's see. Heads up, just a reminder, we'll ask you for your feedback at the end of this discussion today. And it's just a few poll questions we ask you to answer. And if you can, please introduce yourself in chat, your name, your organization, your city, and your state, and your email if you choose to share. So today, I like to think of today as a lighter side of what we discuss. We've discussed some very heavy issues over the last many months. So this is our second annual lighter side look at gadgets, gifts, and books. It's a chance for you to share your favorite tools, books, gadgets, whatever, and to really in the season we get a lot of thinking about what gift should I give is upon us. These ideas will also maybe help you think through what you might want to give, not only during this season, but also think about anniversaries, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc. These kind of gifts tend to stand out because most people never think to give these kind of gifts. So they definitely get a lot of attention. Today, I think we'll do a warm up by asking you if you were sitting on Santa's lap or you were asked by a friend, what disaster gift do you want the most? Or maybe do you need? What would your answer be? So we're just going to open it up. You can use the raise your hand feature, which is under reactions. And if you can't raise your hand, then just kind of pipe in. So don't be shy. What would you like? Alexandra? See your hand.
I would like a really upscale NOAA weather radio with all the bells and whistles, or at least a recommendation on which one I should buy. I'm tired of my measly little basic one. I want a fancy one.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, gang, what else?
June, this is Todd. I'd love an evac chair for our organization.
Oh, and just in case, Todd, people don't quite know what that is, what is it?
It is a chair to assist people with disabilities, with spinal cord injury or other reasons for needing to use a wheelchair to be assisted in getting downstairs because elevators are not available.
Okay, do you have a certain manufacturer or brand or model in mind?
There are many out there, and I'm right in the process of looking right now for the one we did buy and others that were backup choices.
Okay, no, that'd be great. There are a lot of those products in the market. Some are very lightweight. Some take 2 people to carry. Some of them can be operated by one person. Some of them need a wide stairwell with a wide turning radius. Some don't. Good, thanks. Hey, Roxy, how about you?
Hey, I totally agree with Todd on an evacuation, not just a chair, but also a plan. I work on the 12th floor of an office building, and it seems that no matter how much I press for a plan, it always comes to, oh, that's the fire department's job. So, I mean, in my wildest dreams, a plan would be amazing. But in personal world, we helped my mom build her first ready kit, her first go kit. And then I watched her try to move the beast in the garage. And my mom is really small. She's 4 foot something and like 80 pounds. She's dragging it around. So, I'm thinking about what we have to carry our go kits or frame backpacking backpacks. But even that, really challenging for someone my mom's size. So something that makes the go kit more reasonable in in a time of need, I don't think she'd be able to get it into her vehicle. She'd probably have to take it apart and put it in piece by piece. We thought about bins, we thought about a wagon, but she still can't lift it up. So trying to think of what that looks like for someone of a smaller stature.
Well, great. Yeah, we can talk about that some more. I am your mother. And what I figured out, I'll try and get it if I can step away for a little bit. But I have equipped a vest that hangs by the front door. So it has all these many things in it that if I have to grab and go, I can put it on. And I still have my hands to walk with. And I'm not carrying anything too heavy. So I'll try and dig that out later. But Raphael, how about you?
Hello. On the assumption that at least much of the infrastructure is still working out there, just something on the simpler side, just something to charge devices, keep them charged, recharge them, for communication purposes, or even just like a small USB powered fan. So like just a battery bank. And I've seen, obviously various different levels of ones, some of which can also, like we have in our house, one that sits in the corner that could be used, to even run, stuff off of AC, 110 AC power. I've also seen ones that have small solar panels in them. So just something to make sure that you can still use your communication devices to reach the outside world.
Great idea.
June, what do you want?
I want two things. I want a Yeti battery backup system that I can keep in the garage. I think or up in the apartment. So, and that's pricey. So I want that. I also want a one of those battery chargers that I've seen the auto club use. During COVID, my car kept dying because I never went anywhere. So, and it's an old car. So so the one I think I want, I'm not sure, is a NOCO Boost Pro. I'll put it in chat, but it's a ultra safe lithium jump starter box, car battery booster pack, portable power bank charger, and jumper cables for my car. So I think I want that, but so
Jude, we have one of those and it's amazing. And ours also has USB ports in case I need to charge my phone. And it has an air compressor to blow up the tires if they have low tires, and then keep it in my car. And I feel so much safer. Like I don't have to rely on someone else if I'm stuck somewhere where I'm not with someone. It's awesome. I'll have to find the name of it. I'll send it to you.
oh, the air compressor part, that sounds like an added plus. Yeah, if you could put that in chat, I'd love to see that. That makes it even more compelling. So, any other thoughts from any of you? What's on your wish list?
Susie.
Oh, Susan. Go ahead. Susie Malloy, old friend. And you're on mute. So camera's on, and now you need to get that mute button off so we can hear you. It's down there on probably in the bottom of your screen. See where
We cannot hear you, Susie. We cannot hear you.
There
Now
you
you
go.
can.
Go ahead.
All right. I know exactly what I need. And that would be, there's this Amish company in Ohio. that manufactures things that are relatively low tech and don't use electronics. And they have the most wonderful things that I think even I could figure out. Things like, oh, washing machines that don't use electricity, and different kinds of appliances that you can use with your hands or your feet only, and farming implements, and really plain soaps and cleaning products that don't have any chemicals or things in them. This is important to me because of the combination of disabilities I have mean that I would not be welcome in any shelter in the world. So I'm trying to figure out ways to keep going while I'm, quote, sheltering in place, unquote, and have light and maybe heat and water and things like that. Without a shelter and with other than what I can do in my house.
Excellent points.
That is called Lehman Brothers, Lehman, and I would like an enormous gift certificate to their store.
So Susie, just want to be clear, Lehman?
Yes, they're in Kidman, Ohio. Would you like their phone number?
Kingman, Kingman, Kingman.
Lehman.
Okay,
Phone number you want?
sure.
All right. 800-438-5346.
800-438-5346.
Perfect.
And several of us just put the link in chat.
Oh, great. If you guys could put it in chat, that'd be great. Thank you.
They have pumps. So in case your water company goes down, you can get water from your well or from a tank. If you do water haul.
So just to be clear, these are especially important products for people with disabilities that include chemical sensitivities or sensitivity to electrical kinds of things. So excellent ideas.
Or epilepsy, all kinds of different asthma, autism, all kinds of different disabilities that mean that you can't use conventional appliances.
Okay, and so you want a gift certificate from me for how much?
If I get the washing machine too, probably, and the water filtration, I'm thinking 4,000 would get me in the door.
Okay, no problem. Since I won the lottery, I'll send it right over.
And y'all would be invited to my house too.
Okay. So Rafaela, more ideas?
Yeah. One other thing that I realized is I would want a several week supply of critical medications, which is the thing where it's not about the price of it, it's about I can't get them because controlled substances and all the other, and it's I'm on I have to get them reauthorized every month, and oftentimes they're late or they're out of stock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But just being able to have, knowing that if something goes wrong or whatever, that I have at least a couple of weeks of medications that let me function would be amazing.
Good point. And that is a policy issue that we have to continue to pursue and advocate for, and yet to get a lot of fixes in that department. But excellent point. Okay.
I think so too. I need that. And the treatment authorization request forms can take 4 months to get through the bureaucracy. That's just evil. That's going to mean a lot of us will die.
Yes, so if any of you have a pharmacist that looks at policy issues statewide or federally that we can invite for one of these calls to talk about that issue, or you have ideas, that would be great. Or a panel we could put together. That would be definitely a topic that is on our must do list for survival purposes. Okay, before we move off of Santa's lap, any other ideas as to your wish list type wants? Zaid, did I mess up your name or is that
No,
right?
that's fine. Saeed. I had put it in the chat, but for me, it's the basic of being in a 4-floor condo. So I mainly live on my 3rd and 4th floor. So I would need a rope ladder. I keep meaning to buy one. So yeah, I would need at least 2 because I'm on the 3rd and 4th. So yeah, that would be the best for me.
Good idea. I actually have one under my bed, really on the 2nd floor. I've never used it, but I think the fear factor, if I have to use it, would help me with the adrenaline rush.
Mhm. But my parents live on the 4th floor of their condo community. They picked it because the fire trucks can reach up to the 4th floor with their ladders, but they can't reach past that. So they were like, we'll just, like depend on the firefighters if necessary.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I always thought it was the 6th floor, not the 4th floor. Interesting.
This is
Okay.
Alexandra. It depends on your jurisdiction and what kind of equipment they have. It might be a really good thing to help somebody figure that out about in your jurisdiction and where you live and the trucks that would come, how far up can they go? Because some of them actually can go higher than 5 or 6, but it's unusual.
Interesting. All right, well, why don't we move to talk to us about your favorite gadgets that we may not even think about, or your favorite books. Talk to us about what you like best.
Hey, Jen, it's Todd. I have to recommend to folks who want to use dehydrated meals in your Go kits that Mountain House has some really good options. They actually are pretty tasty with the boiled water, and they're light to carry.
So, Todd, can you put that link in chat, you think?
I'll find it, put it in right now.
And I'm curious about do those meals where you just add water, what's their shelf life?
They're actually pretty good, and I know because I cycle the ones I have out. I actually used them when I used to backpack, and I think I've actually taken them out a couple of years after I've had them. But I'd have to look at the website will probably tell us. But yeah, I didn't get sick from it, so I'm assuming it was okay. Dehydration is pretty good for shelf life anyway. But the big thing for me is when you're hiking or something, everything tastes a little bit better. But yeah, even when I'm cycling this stuff out, it was amazingly good, and I think the sodium content was reasonable, and some of the other things that people would look at with dietary restrictions. So let me find that for you.
That's great. And you make an important point, which is, when you buy these things like heater meals or the brand that Todd is talking about, it is really important to, at some point, taste them to see if you can if you would even in a pinch, eat them. I mean, just to kind of test it out. Alexandra and then Roxy.
I think the point that Todd's bringing up is really important. I mean, I know in previous calls I talked about the idea of looking at the market in outdoor gear. I mean, backpacking equipment in many ways may be a good accessibility solution because it's lightweight and sturdy, but you do pay a premium price for it. Todd, you and I must have very different tastes in food. The only Mountain House product I would eat is the dried peas. I'd rather bring MREs if I was going to do that. And I'm always trying out different kinds of things from the regular grocery store. About June's point, it's like, if I won't eat it at home, I sure won't eat it when I'm backpacking, because I'm a very picky eater. I shouldn't admit this, but I have buried more stuff because it's like, I won't eat this. But finding things that you will eat at home and that are lightweight and easily transportable, but I highly recommend the outdoor gear, not just backpacking, but boating and paddling gear. Dry bag, for example, dry bags. If you have anything that absolutely cannot get wet, and that's a lot of electronics, it's like having the gift of a dry bag. And, we're talking a range of 15 to 30 maybe. But it's like, you can't just rely on even double Ziploc bags. A dry bag is meant to keep things away from water dry when you're in like a boat or a raft or a kayak. And the extra benefit of a dry bag is, well, for one, you get the kind that clip together on top with Fastex buckles. They make a nice little pouch. But if you've got something that's wet that you don't want to leak on all your other stuff, you can put it inside the dry bag and the moisture won't get out, because you can do all this great stuff about assembling your go kits, etc. Stick them in the car and they get wet, and a lot of the stuff is useless when it gets wet. So, I mean, I actually have a dry bag that has a shower tube on the bottom that you clip off, so you can hang it up, put water in it, hang it up, and it'll be a shower. But I've also put stuff that's icky and wet inside it, so it doesn't make the other gear I've got around wet. But looking at outdoor gear, and I mean, June and I used to go to REI, and I've done this with several of my friends because I know what the gear is for. Todd, sounds like you know what the gear is for too. You go and you look at how could this be used? What else could you use it for except for what it's meant for? So I think that kind of looking at outdoor gear, REI, Cabela's, those kind of stores, seeing what you could do with this stuff. And dry bags, for example, are not a very expensive gift. They fit in your category, June, of under $20 and may go up to $30 for the very large ones. But they really do keep things dry.
Well, thank you. And if you could put the link in, I know you introduced me to them, and I did buy some for my critical documents that I have in my vest that I mentioned before, things that I don't really want to get wet. So I can't remember the name, but if you put it in chat, that'd be great. Because
This is Alexandra. I'll put the word dry bag in, but just Google dry bag.
great.
This is Rafael. On a quick related note, in terms of documents, one thing my dad's done for years is take photos of them or scan important documents, put them on a couple copies of flash drives, like one in a safe to deposit box, one that goes in like a safe, one that's just like on hand.
Excellent idea.
And virtual. Email it to yourself,
iCloud.
put it in a Google Drive.
That as well, yes.
In the cloud somewhere, Dropbox, iCloud, whatever you use as your virtual backup. Excellent idea.
And one thing I took that one a little step further, in that there was a link to like a Dropbox thing, but obviously if you don't have access to your computer and know the login, you won't be able to access it. I had set up just a short URL, like tiny URL, whatever, that goes directly to that, which I just remembered, it's a simple one. It's the equivalent of, my name, documents 2020 or whatever it was. So then theoretically from any computer, I could access it. Although I did password protect the zip file of all of them, but so like, theoretically I could access it from any computer, even if I don't have any logins or anything. So
Rafaela, does that mean you have a website page that's hidden somewhere?
No, this is just like to the Dropbox link.
Oh, okay.
But then I use, in this case, it's like tiny URL, like one of the URL shorteners that where you can set a custom URL for it. And it's just that, and it's just that it's security through obscurity, plus I password protect the zip file itself. But so I could just, on any computer, go to that 10 URL, and that will redirect to the Dropbox file, and I can download it.
Excellent idea. And if I could just add before we go back to Roxy is, remember, you might not be able to access this stuff right away. So it does pay to have hard copies of some things on you, like phone numbers that you would never remember because it's all so automated. Great idea. Thank you. Okay, Roxy, your turn.
I'm going back to what Todd was saying about the meals that you rehydrate. We're not super picky eaters, and we lived off of the Mountain House ones because they were the cheapest ones at REI while backpacking Alaska. But there was a piece of equipment that has become like the most vital piece of equipment that we have in all of our camping gear. We use it for all kinds of things. It's called a jet boil. It boils water to rehydrate the foods, because you have to have boiled water, in like 60 seconds to 90 seconds. It's this amazing little thing, and it's got a thermal covering on the outside. I did post the link in the thing. We make hot chocolate with it when we're like out looking at Christmas lights. It's got this tiny little propane, packs up really small, very lightweight because it's meant for backpacking. That thing is life. And we've had the same one, and it's been used and abused. We've had it for like 17 years, and it's still the same one, and we're still using it. And we'll replace the little mini propane thing at the bottom when we need to. So can't recommend that one enough, because that thing is useful for rehydrating, for making hot water, for sanitizing water. And then we also have the little hand pump. We were drinking water out of glacier streams in Alaska for quite some time while backpacking, and those little water pumps filter out an extraordinary amount of particulates because glacier streams are cloudy. So those two things put together, we were able to have water, rehydrate food, all of that, and lightweight and tiny.
So Roxy, for the non-backpacker, non-hiker, non-person who doesn't have a clue what you're talking about, that would be me. The little propane thing that you're talking about, how often does it have to be replaced, and how do you safely store it?
It depends on how you're using it. We just keep, the unit is like a thermos. So it's a thermos size, and it's got a cover on it. So you can touch it, grab it all over, even though inside of it is boiling water. And it screws onto a little tiny little stove thing and propane. I probably could just go get it out of the garage. a little propane at the bottom, and you just put it together. You do need to use it outdoors. You shouldn't be using it inside because it's got propane. But I mean, you're only out there for 90 seconds when you're using it. We just store it in a little bin with our camping gear, with our evacuation stuff. You can tuck it away. It depends on how often you use it, how often you have to replace the little propane things. We used it more when we were backpacking, so we probably went through two little mini propane things in a month. But we've maybe gone through two the rest of the whole time we've had it, if we're not actively camping and we're just using it every once in a while, and they don't go bad. So you just store them up and you just pop it right on the bottom and you take it off and put the little camp stove thing actually stores inside the thermos. So it's really compact. It's the size of a thermos and then this big for the propane. And the link is in the chat, and I'll go see if I can find it.
Hey, Roxy, this is Todd. Is that one is good at altitude too, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
So that makes a big difference too, June, because getting water to boil, if you're traveling over a pass or something, this would be ideal for that. And of course, everything that Roxy's talking about and Alexandra is stuff that people normally carry on their back for many miles. So it's designed to be light and portable.
And
This is
durable as all
Alexandra.
get out. It gets banged around and it's fine.
Right, this is Alexandra. You need to keep in mind when you're using propane canisters that they may not work in winter. And I know that much of California isn't cold, but you do have mountains, and they are not a cold weather solution. Propane and butane.
We didn't have trouble in Alaska.
How cold was it?
I mean,
I
it just
snow camp.
varied.
It's like, okay, but it's something to keep in mind about temperature, weight, those kind of things. I mean, and there are tricks for figuring out how much propane you have left in it. You could Google that online, so you know, because otherwise you're bringing things along and there's no gauge on them. But yeah, Jetboil is an interesting product.
I love it.
Okay, so I got one. Alexandra taught me about this one. See, this is my hard hat. And I have a little headlamp attached to it. And it's got a light on the side. And it's got very light, very bright LED lights across the front. And this was super cheap. I'll find a link and post it. And it comes in this tiny little package. So
It comes in a little case. This is Alexandra.
really easy to carry. Here's the case. Almost like a kidney bean shape. And it's very easy to use. I love hard hats, so this is one of my collection. And the fact that it's already, I attached it, all I have to do is press the button to turn it on. And I still have my free hands, which are, as you know, is a real important part for me. So this is one of my new favorites.
This is Alexandra. They aren't just for hard hats. They're actually made for wearing on your forehead. Very bright, and it has the interesting feature of you can wave your hand in front of it to turn it off and on, which I have found is not perfectly reliable, but it's very nice not to have to be pushing a button, and it's very bright. It's not useful particularly for backpacking, because to charge it, I mean, you use the USB port and they send you the USB cable with it, priced about $2 for $35.
Actually, I just checked it and put it in the chat with the link. It was $16.99 on Amazon.com.
$16.99?
Yeah, so
On Amazon, I got 2 for $35. I originally paid 35 for one through the company. What a scam. I made them give me my money back when I saw that on Amazon. You could get 2 for 35, but 17 a piece, and they're easy to charge. And I
So
think
right
even have a
now,
USB-C.
I just checked it. It's 2-pack for $16.99. So anyways,
Excellent.
Heather, you're up.
Hello, everyone. This is Heather Lafferty, Nevada Division of Emergency Management. And I just wanted to share, I have actually a few family members who use hearing aids and are hard of hearing. And 2 of them in particular are younger and very into music. So I found this amazing Bluetooth beanie that you can use in conjunction with hearing aids, and also has like a little microphone in it. And it's not very expensive, and they both loved it. So I thought I would share that in case anyone else has music loving people who also have trouble with their phones and the accessibility of their hearing aids.
So Heather, it's like a headphones that are integrated into a beanie hat.
Yeah, and the speakers are, you can take the speakers out and the little microphone and wash the beanie, and they come in different styles, and it works with also with like AirPods. It's very adaptable, but it doesn't conflict with the hearing aids like most of the stuff they make.
Oh, so it's hearing aid compatible.
Yeah, and it's really brilliant. And I got it for them because they're not really able to use their headphones with their hearing aids at their office if they want to listen to music while they're working. So with this beanie, they can just put it on and have their, it's private and not disturbing everyone around them.
Interesting. Good, nice. Okay, other ideas? Said?
I just did a thumbs up for that. Sorry.
Oh, okay, great, sorry. Susie, Malloy? You're on mute, Susie. Mute. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm never going to learn this. See why I want stuff that's not electronic. When you're looking at fire extinguishers, you might try to get ones that are full of baking soda. They won't be the problem that the chemical ones are if you have to spray it all around your house.
Okay. Baking soda fire extinguishers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alexandra?
You might want to also consider fire blankets. I know we talked about those last year on the gift thing. It's like, it's a way of smothering the fire without using a fire extinguisher, especially if you can't manipulate a fire extinguisher, having one, and they're under $20. I gave them to a bunch of friends last year. Google fire blankets and have a look at those. But I'd like to bring up the issue of when you give these emergency related presents, how do you present them? Because it's like, I was so embarrassed last year. Giving the fire blankets, I kind of pretended they weren't holiday presents, and it's like difficult. It's like, I mean, I made a go bag for my mom, and she was so resistant to it. I didn't even do it as a holiday present. Just put some basic stuff in. I knew she couldn't carry very much. It was a very light pack. And she just didn't want it. I finally got her to accept it and put it in her closet by saying, look, if they evacuate your senior housing apartments in a bus, if you put this on, you can put your purse in it and put it on, and then you won't lose your purse. And, I showed her how to clip the front, and she could buy that. But how are the rest of you giving, when you give an emergency related present, they don't seem very gifty. June, did you tell me you gave Marcy an emergency related present for her wedding? It's like, how do you do that? How do you present it?
Well, this June, Kathy, because I gave it to Marcy and she's heavily involved in the emergency world, I did not have to explain any of it. But what shocked me was she actually didn't have what I gave her. So, but I think your point is well taken. If I gave it to my sister, she would look at me cross-eyed and say, what do I need this for? So you're right. I need that. Well, I'd have to explain what it's for and when she could use it and how she could use it. You're right. It's a good point. We forget about sometimes. So I did not have that issue with Mercy because it needed no explanation other than my shock that she didn't already have it.
But this is Alexander, but she didn't have the stuff that you gave her for a present?
No.
Interesting. Let me share one that I think people might not be so resistant about. It's $35. It's like I'm into water this year. This is a water bob. Let's see. Water bob. Not a very big. I'll put
that
the
thing.
URL
Those things
in.
are amazing.
It's-
Water Bob.
Water BOB, yeah.
Yeah. What it is it turns any bathtub into a freshwater reserve. And it will hold 100 gallons of water. You put it in the bathtub, it'll hold 100 gallons of water and it'll keep it clean. I mean, a lot of people think about, if there's an emergency, if something's going on, to put to fill the bathtub with water, except that if you're going to go drink that water after or use it for anything except flushing the toilet, it's like, I don't know about your bathtub, but my bathtub's a little scummy. I don't want to drink that water. But if you put it in the bag inside the tub, you put the 100 gallons of water in while there's still enough water pressure going on in town or whatever's going on, then and it even has a little pump with it. And I put it in the bathroom that has the bathtub, so I don't have to go looking for it. It's like, if I know I need a reserve of 100 gallons of water, I can just pull it out of the box, stick it underneath. It looks very easy to put together. And no, June, I haven't tried it yet because I think it's only good for one-time use, but it's small. It seems like you wouldn't have to explain too much to people about it as you would on some of these other products. I have a bunch of other suggestions on water too, but it's like, has anybody ever used a water bomb? I'll put the URL in.
Can I ask you a question? If you live in a place where you don't have a bathtub, would it work if you had a shower?
No, because it's a big plastic bag. And it needs the constraints of the
Tub.
to hold it. That's your water container. And so if you have no bathtub, this wouldn't be, or I suppose you could put, I don't know, drain your hot tub. No, you want a bathtub.
Okay.
But to have 100 gallons of water that's clean, and fill it from the cold water, not from the hot water. So any residuals from your hot water tank or your water softener won't get into it. Fill it with the cold water. Then you've got that there, and they stay with with the bag, they give you the pump to get it back out. And it's like, do you tell them where we found out about the water bag, the water bob from one of the prepper books? Because that's where I learned about it. I know you were gonna.
Yeah, I will post some of my favorite disaster books in a little bit, but that's where we learned about it. And Sina Jenkins in chat says that the water bob is only $30. I mean $40. And you say it's 35, so that's
Right. So it's in that $30 to $40 range, and seems like something, they were using it in an electromagnetic pulse event where we lost all power, but you could use this for anything. Just having the extra water in the house seems like a very useful $35, $30, $40.
so. Just a note before we go to Todd, I will clean up the chat after this call and post all these links. I think they'll come out, I'm not sure, as a link in the YouTube posting of this call, so we can all have them in case you can't capture chat. So Todd, your hands up. Go ahead, Todd.
Todd, you must be muted.
Yep, you're on mute, Todd.
Yeah, that took a couple clicks. Sorry about that. Right in line with what Alexandra was saying is one of the things for your grab and go kits too is easy to come by. Almost any sporting goods stores, maybe even Walmart's and department stores in their camping sections have the collapsible multi-gallon water storage containers, and you can fold those up and easily slip it into your wheel bag or something that you would grab and go. And the what I found with that in backpacking again was that if you have to go down to a stream or something like that with the filtration system, it's difficult to sit there and pump the water from the stream into a container to drink it. But if you bring up the non-potable water in that collapsible container, it's a lot more convenient to do it on your terms wherever you might be, staying warm or just sheltering in place.
This is Alexandra. Can I comment on that one? Because I think the weight of what you're able to carry is very important for everybody. Maybe a particular issue around disability. I found that, water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. And you start to playing with, the typical water containers that you buy are 5 gallons. That's 40 pounds. I found I was having a very hard time lifting and carrying the 40 pounds out, when I had it in the back of the car, picking it up and then manipulating it, pouring out of it. And so I went looking for a smaller one, and the 3-gallon one was also a little too heavy. So I went and really looked at a lot of different water bottles that were 1 gallon, that were solid, that were non-BPA, good plastic, not too flexible. And I've been using those since. I put 3 of them fit into a plastic crate, and then I keep a 1 quart bottle that I pour from the 1 gallon bottle. If you start getting some of these things, I think weight is an important consideration around accessibility and around a lot of things. If you or anybody who's helping you is going to have a hard time managing a 40-pound cube of water, and the kind Todd's talking about are 1 gallon, I think.
It,
you might want to reconsider and go toward, I'll put it in the link. But, and having the handle on it is, I'm having a hard time. It has a nice handle and it has a really good thing on the top, and I can handle it. I can keep my hands on it, and it's not going to slip out of my hands, and I can pour it the way I just couldn't do with a 5-gallon anymore. I mean, when I was younger, I could handle 40 pounds. I can't anymore. So this isn't, I'll put the link to this in, but I think that this is a good solution. And I think that the overarching issue is weight. It's like, can you actually lift the stuff? Can you pick the stuff up? I thought Roxy's example with your mom about having all that stuff, she could barely move it. What good is it if you can't access it? So I think we need to consider weight as maybe one of the disability access stuff. I mean, there's lots of books out there. If you Google emergency gifts, emergency presents, there's lots of websites that show all the different kind of things that you could give as a emergency related gift. And it would be nice, I think, for California Disaster Coalition to look at what are some of the features around accessibility that make them more or less accessible for people. I mean, Susie bringing up the points around, chemical sensitivities, et cetera. I mean, that's certainly one of them. I put a link in on the Prepared website, which is a really interesting website. They had a link for Prepper's Guide for people with food allergies, because a lot of this stuff is not going to be useful for people with food allergies. So, other ideas around disability related emergency gifts I think would be particularly helpful.
so Lisa, I'm going to give you the heads up. I'd like for you put in chat, and hope you can talk about it in a minute. I just want to say, as somebody who can't carry water or any of that other stuff, or will never remember to refresh it, I bought canned water, 12-ounce cans with an unlimited shelf life, and I keep 6 in my car. I keep 3 or 4 by the bedside, and I keep the rest somewhere else. But besides bottled water, that water in the car, I never have to replace it. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to remember anything. It's just there until I use it up. So Lisa, Lisa Graff, can I bug you to narrate? Will you put a chat? I think they're good ideas.
This is Lisa, and all of my friends and family know I'm crazy about preparedness and that I teach it. What I do is I get novelty insulated lunch bags, and I fill them with things such as the Mylar blankets, water purification tablets, anything that personalizes it, and it works for my family who live in tiny New York apartments because it's just one really cute little lunch bag for each of them, and at least gives them the basics, and they know that I love them because I am giving them something to help them survive, even if it's just a start. I think that sums it up. And they also have swaddling Mylar blankets for infants, such as I'm putting one together for my new granddaughter.
Congratulations.
And you also mentioned, I like this, that you fill it with like a headlamp or a tiny first aid guide. Yeah, those New York apartments are they are tiny. Good idea. So I
For
have
backup to water, I did mention earlier that we do the hand water filter pump, as well as tablets, and that pump filters out particulates. So bathwater scum, sorry, Alexandrina, it's gross, but it will filter out the bathwater scum. You could drink out of the toilet. You could drink out of a puddle. We were drinking out of glacier streams, like I said, very silty, lots and lots of sediment and rock. They're not clear. They're swirly and you can't see through the water. And it would filter that into clear water. So, we have those in our kits because as an alternative to having to carry 40 pounds of water, not that we don't still have water, but if something happens, you break the plastic jug and it goes everywhere, there's still a chance to, if you can locate a water source, be able to drink water. So I'm going to post a link to the one that we have in the comments just because it's a pretty easy to use one. For the younger kids, like my son, now he's 11, he probably could figure out and use the pump. We did have the life straw where you just stuck the straw directly in and suck water out. It takes an extraordinary amount of sucking power. If you don't have an extraordinary amount of it's like drinking a thick milkshake. You got to really work at it. But it was an alternative to something that was too complicated for a smaller child. There you go. Yes.
I never knew that, Roxy, that it took a lot of sucking power.
And maybe they're better now. Just the one that we have for him, the life straw, we were like, you always want to try it, see how it works. And it was like, but we got it eventually.
And for everyone, the credibility I can add to Roxanne's recommendations around water are well taken, as I've been on an island with her after a hurricane where the cisterns were all contaminated. So we learned many, many different ways to purify water, even to take a bath with.
Okay, we have, let's see, Todd, I think you, Rafaela, and you're next.
One category, this is Rafaela, one category that hasn't really been discussed today is COVID. And in that regard of you might end up in a situation where you're going to a place that you really don't feel comfortable with COVID safety wise, depending on your own personal levels of comfort or however you want to phrase it. And so one thing that I have been doing is, I keep masks. I personally use KF94 masks, and they arrive like flat, individually wrapped, like flat packages. So I just keep a couple, I keep a couple extra in the car. I keep a couple in my day bag, just, I've once or twice left the house I didn't realize I didn't have a mask, or it's want to give a mask to someone, or just to have on hand. Just because again, it's like if you're ending up like in a shelter or just like some public location in an emergency, where it's better to be there than not be there, but still mitigating COVID risk.
Good idea, Russ. Junior, what I do is I put them in individual envelopes, like letter envelopes, just to keep them cleaner if they're in my pocket or they're floating around the car. It just protects them a little bit more than heaven knows where they land otherwise in the car and what kind of junk gets all over them. Okay, I want to just give you one. I posted it already, but this is my solar backup for my phone or iPad, or don't think it works for laptop, but it's also a flashlight. And I did post it, and I only have to charge it like maybe every 3-4 months. And I keep it in the bedroom, and I keep the little charger in a little bag so I don't lose it, because it is a USB charger. So I really like it. It's very hardy, and I The one I put in chat is called, I can't even find it anymore. Solar Power Bake. Yeah. 2-cell portable solar phone charger, $24. That was this week. You have to watch these prices. They change a lot. So, okay, hands. Let's see. Alexandra.
Since we've been talking about other kinds of off-the-shelf ideas, a book like Sneaky Uses for Everyday Things. It's like if you're stuck in the house and you start running out of stuff, it's like, what's another way to do it? And, you know, you see a lot of stuff for like alternative uses for baking soda, salt, vinegar. So I don't know how you'd present this as a gift. It's probably the most boring gift idea today, but I think, you know, getting Costco size jugs, white vinegar, the big bag of baking soda. Baking soda can be used for lots and lots and lots of things. Salt and a box of nitrile gloves would be a very interesting present to somebody, especially somebody who has a hard time like getting to a place like Costco, where you can get the big bags and put them away. But then getting the book, like I put it in the chat, Sneaky Uses for Everyday Things, you know, to start thinking about what else could I use that's in my house already to if you're not able to resupply quickly, would be interesting. And Lisa, maybe you have an idea on how you would present this as a gift. I can just imagine showing up. I was thinking maybe some cookies along with it would be useful. But it's like giving people those supplies that they normally don't buy in that size, that they can use for alternative kinds of making alternative kinds of solutions for things. And the nitrile gloves, you know, a whole box of them that Costco has. I get size large, so they're not hard. Anybody can wear them, and they're not hard to pull off and on, and they're not latex. Because your hands are going to get dirty in an evacuation, or if you don't have enough water to wash all the time. And just having the kind of hand sanitizer, it's like, isn't going to help much with really dirty hands. And so often I'll put nitrile gloves on for doing things and then just toss them and put another pair to keep my hands clean, because you wouldn't want to waste your good water washing your hands. So
that's a good point. You've taught me that you can also use them as glove liners if you're an emergency where you're outside and you're wearing gloves, but they're not keeping your hands warm enough. You could use them as glove liners for an extra layer of warmth.
Right. I tend to put them on underneath my fleece mittens. As I said, I camp outside in the winter and my hands get cold a lot, but it's like putting the nitrile gloves inside my mittens. And then when you pull your mittens off, because you've got to do something with your hands that you can't do with your mittens, you still have something protecting your skin. I actually wash dishes using snow when I'm snow camping. And if you've put the trick to making that work is putting them on before your hands get cold. You're creating a vapor barrier. Get them on before your hands get cold. I've actually had the fingers go out while I'm washing pots with snow, and my hands still stay warm, because there's nothing worse than cold fingers, except dirty, cold fingers. And I mean, two of the other presents that you might want to buy, I think a lot of things that you could use as stocking stuffers at this time of the year are duplicates of things you have in your home. And June, I know you have a lot of that you duplicate things, you put them in multiple places, but getting duplicates of things that normally, like reading glasses, And you can get reading glasses that will fold, so they're little and in a hard little case. Gotten those at Walgreens. It's like the things you don't think to stick in, and then all of a sudden you can't read anything you put into your, because you don't have your glasses with you and you don't have your reading glasses with you. And there's other things. It's like back to sneaky uses for everyday things. It's like I can always tell when go bag kits don't have women's involvement. They never put menstrual supplies in them. There's nothing yuckier than being wet and bloody. So, and one of the nice things about when I'm sneaky uses for everyday things is pads are really good for wiping up water. So having a few of these, even if you're not menstruating anymore. I mean, I haven't used them, and I still keep tampons in. They're great for stopping bleeding. You stick the tampon into the cut, or you put the pads in around something that's gotten wet, and then you throw them out. But thinking differently about what something could be used for, it's like, June, you just the whole idea of contractor bags, you can't get them at Costco usually, but you can get them at hardware stores. And contractor bags can be used for everything. I think you've been using it for a cover for your bicycle. And you want they come in two sizes, very sturdy plastic bags. They come in 42 gallon and 55 gallon. I recommend the 55 gallon ones. You can use them for a ground cloth. You can use it for a raincoat. You can use it to cover your gear. There's lots of things like that. It's like, that would take some explaining too, to do if you gave somebody a box of contractor bags about what you could do with them. So say you're next, and I just on the contractor bag, what I did with it was I cut it open, so it doubled the size, and then I covered it for the pot over my bike in the garage, which always leaks anyways. So that was helpful. But it's a relatively inexpensive. You can get them on sale, $10, $11, if you have to pay $15. But they're so useful for so many different things, having them in your house and then remembering where they are, and they come in a box. But I think they're a great sneaky use for other things.
Yeah, and they're a lot cheaper than buying tarps. I've actually bought some tarps that have kept around since in California. I find that the people don't know how to build things that don't leak because it never rains in Southern California, quote unquote. And when it rains, it's like it's always leaking. So I use those things a lot. So if you're up.
And just a quick response to Alexandra for the how to give gifts. If you've already given nice gifts before and everything like that, this is more of a considerate gift because people are not going to go buy the thing that they actually need in an emergency. So it's just getting them started. You can say this is the starter of that. And for me, I just do it with confidence as opposed to oh, I'm really sorry about this gift. What? You're giving them a great gift because they can be prepared in an emergency. It's, because those are the things people do not think about. I didn't think about all of the stuff I need in my house until I joined you guys. And I'm like, crap, I got to build this stuff up. So somebody had told me, go buy your rope ladders now after this. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But, so many things come up. So anything you're giving I would do it with such I love you. I don't want to see you in any kind of harm's way. So here's a gift for you that's more practical than a sweater that you'll never wear, a perfume you don't like, or, whatever. This is something that you will have and you'll know, and it'll get you on the path of, okay, do you have a plan? I mean, because obviously these are the kind of gifts you're giving friends and family. So these are people you talk to all the time. So this can open up another discussion of do you have your medicines in order? Do people know what you take? I mean, this is a great opening conversation, And so I would just do it with a happy smile, confidence, and do not make it seem like, oh, I'm so sorry. Nah, boo, I got you. Look at all the emergencies we're going through in this place. California was like half burnt. So sorry, but
Thank you so
we need to
much,
take care of each other.
Great point.
Alexander. Thank you so much for that. But I also think that I could probably sell dry bags by putting bags of cookies or make cookies and put them inside. So now you have to look inside for the cookies. It's like maybe a little reward in there would be good, but your suggestions are so good. I'm going to put into chat a book we've talked about before on this, about 52 prepper projects, a project a week to help you prepare for the unpredictable. It's a way to get started because this stuff can get very expensive, even if we're not giving Susie a $4,000 gift certificate or giving me my $4,000 Generac. It's like this can be expensive, especially when you start stockpiling food. So this one kind of guides you through what you should get, priorities, so you get something like every week when you go to the grocery store. I'll put it in chat.
So a couple of things in chat, really interesting. Where it keeps moving, I can't even keep up. Patricia said, she keeps water to all her neighbors for Christmas so they wouldn't come begging at her disaster shed. That's great. And let's see. Oh, and then Olga said, one thing we need to teach people around us, it's not about the big disaster. How about being stuck in traffic for several hours, accidents, etc.? Can you survive in your car for 2 hours without being able to get out or move elsewhere? And what if your tire blows out and rescue vehicles are busy with more urgent stuff? Can you take care of yourself? Good point. Good points. Sina says, I bought family members cleats for their shoes
That's a
so
great
they don't slip in the snow. I was not worried about their altitude, about it and their attitude. Good point. And Todd, you said there's a battery only version for $5-6 at Harbor Freight. Battery version of what, Todd?
My apologies, June. That's the pop-up lantern flashlight that you were mentioning. They have one. I looked at one the other day. It's very bright, and it's but it's only if I'm correct, it's only the 3 AAA batteries or AA batteries. I don't know that it has the USB, etc., like yours, the one you mentioned.
Okay. Okay.
This is Raphael. If it's one, I have a very similar one where it also has a hanging hook as well as a magnet on the bottom, so you can just basically put it anywhere.
Yes. Good
And
point.
as well, I believe it has a red emergency light for signaling or what have you. Flashlights in general have just gotten so much better. I mean, even from when I was a kid, not too terribly long ago.
Yes, much brighter, much more hardy. So there's a list of books in chat. I put my favorite books up, but Alexander was referring to The Water Bob, and I think that was in the 3-part series on A Powerless World by Glaspie, a woman. This is a 3-part series of books. When the power is gone, when the peace is gone, and when the pain is gone. And before the power was gone is a preface. Anyway, It's a very interesting series written by a woman about people who have to survive an ongoing outage where there's no longer any power for a long time. So just some books in there, and I think Lisa or somebody also liked the book by Aaron Titus, How to Prepare for Everything. And we're actually planning some topic calls with Aaron Titus in collaboration with the state of Colorado next year. So we'll probably do a 4-part series with Aaron on how to prepare for everything. And he talks a lot about disruption versus emergency or disaster. He really makes it much more of a generalized concept, like we're experiencing these disruptions all the time, and how do you plan for them? So great book.
This is Alexandra. I put in the website for The Prepared. It was included in a 60 Minutes piece on November 6th. June has the URL. Very interesting piece. But there is more interesting information on that website. And it's mostly free. I think I'm going to do the $50 course on water. But almost everything is free. And, you know, they included stuff like food prepping for people with food allergies. But it's like, it's a great place to get started for a lot of things. It isn't comprehensive. And they asked to have more things in, but I put the URL in chat. It's quite a useful website.
Patricia, you mentioned the pop-up lanterns, $5. Are those the ones that are accordion style that you twist and pop up?
No, you don't twist. They just pull up about 2 inches. They're little mini, like the size of a squat can, and they have a very bright light.
Can you, is there a link for that you can find?
I'll see if I can find it.
That'd be great. I don't know about those. Okay, so if you're out of gift ideas, you have book ideas. Lots of disaster books out there. Okay, as you're thinking, we've got about 7 minutes left. I will recommend my new excellent podcast for you Californians and beyond about wildfires. And I mean, it was so intriguing, and I learned so much. It's called The Big Burn, and you can find it on wherever you find your podcast. The Big Burn, it's done here in LA by a local radio station in Pasadena. And I learned a lot about building and fire safety. I learned a lot about how you protect forests long term. I learned a lot about the American Indian culture and how we kind of negated that instead of honored that and practiced the way they would protect forests over, hundreds of years ago. It's really an excellent podcast. Very well done. And they also did one last year for all of you called The Big One. And that was about earthquakes. So 2 very good podcasts from KPCC, but they're both on, they're both You just search for the name, the big burn or the big one. I'll try and post that. So we have about 5 minutes left.
This is Alexandra. I put in human gear cap for, a lot of people have the 1 liter, 1 quart bottles for drinking water bottles. It's like, this is a cap that fits on, it's a standard size. And in the middle of it, it has a smaller cap. So when you tip the water bottle to drink, it doesn't dribble all the way down the front of you. And I think it's important, this has come up several times throughout this, it's like keeping this stuff clean. It's like a lot of these water bottles with these very narrow little taps may be easy to drink from, but you can't clean them easily. Having the brushes that clean them is just one more thing to do. It's like getting something like the Human Gears cap lets you open up the top of the bottle, clean the whole thing out, because you don't want to have grungy, yucky water. It's like you want to get sick from stuff that you're trying to do to stay healthy and stay safe. I'm also going to put one in on a link in on removing lead from water and making salt water, ocean water, drinkable, because a life straw will not make salt water drinkable. You need to have some kind of desalination. So, and we could do a whole thing on water. It's like water's important. But I have questions about, like, so in Flint, Michigan, and in Jackson, Mississippi, why didn't they give everybody water filters so you could actually drink the water? I mean, and that's not rhetorical. I'd actually like an answer to that. It's like, if you've got excessive chemicals in your water, even now, giving people the present of how to get it out and drink water safely, rather than buying, all of those, cases of bottled water, which have plasticizers in them, whatever, I think is important.
So Louis, Carla, would you put up the poll, please? And those are great points for deeper discussion later on.
Actually, so I actually happen to the answer to that particular one.
Okay,
So
hang on
Raffaello?
one second.
Sure.
Just wanted to, before Raffaello gets the last word, I just wanted to really thank you all for a very rich discussion with excellent resources. I learned a lot, and I'll have to keep looking at the chat and do some further research. There's so much here to think about and process in terms of what works for me and what would work for you and your circumstance, your disability. And so thank you all. And Raphael, over to you for the last word today.
So just I happened to I had wondered that exact same thing. Why don't they just give like life straws or whatever? And so from what I found is that life straws work for bacteria or protozoa, but they do not work for chemical contaminants, which is sadly what Flint and other places like that were facing. So there's other types of purification, but it's not quite as simple as that one, sadly.
I'm not a big believer in life straws for a lot of reasons. But, when people say, oh, it'll take everything out, that's not true. It won't take salt, it won't take lead, it won't do, but there is equipment that will do that. And I think it's important to keep that in mind. But using a life straw and thinking you're getting rid of the lead is not going to work, or that it's going to desalinate your salt water isn't going to work.
So I'm looking at the clock. I want to just would like to probe that discussion much more, maybe at a later call. But want to again thank you all, and please join us next month. half hour early. And we will post this discussion on YouTube and also the links in the chat. So thanks again for joining us. And one more plea to answer the poll in chat. And we'll talk to you again next month. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.